Dark is a series that we're talking about. A German written, produced series, limited series, 3 seasons. It finally wrapped up whenever season 3 dropped. I mean, it took me about 2-3 weeks to get through the whole thing. Season 3, by far, one of the most interesting seasons because I didn't. So here's the fun thing. When I started season 3, I didn't realize it was the last season. And how they kind of presented the story, it was very kind of fast paced and a lot of information was being thrown at you. And once I realized around episode 2 or 3 that it was the last season, I was like, oh, this makes sense as to why all this information is being presented. And being that I've been a fan of the show since season 1, I kind of knew what was going on, and it kind of helped speed up the whole process of getting through this incredible and amazing, science fiction journey, which I'm claiming right here is the greatest
television show
ever.
Wait, so I've got to ask some qualifying
To me.
questions.
Real quick,
To me.
if you go to the Wikipedia page, there are some fascinating charts that they've made family trees. They have these weird circle graphs.
Forget the Wikipedia one. Go to the Netflix Dark's official page. Dear God, there's hidden Easter eggs all over there in terms of I mean, I can spoil. I'm trying to tread lightly in what I can say because you two haven't seen it,
Right.
And I could just wreck it.
Yeah.
But I don't want to wreck it.
Yeah, because I want to watch it now.
So I think what we should do here, this is not going to be a full-on spoiler review, but I'd like to hear Christian's qualifying questions as to why I'm claiming Netflix Dark is the greatest science fiction show.
So just
to me,
I think the best way to do this is just to maybe so we can see some comparison, right?
Sure.
On a scope of epicness, what would you relate it to? Is it like a Lord of the Rings? Is it a Star Wars? If you're just going to look at how big is it, how many characters are involved, the level of conflict.
So
scope
in terms
Game
of
of Thrones.
Sure. In terms of scope, it is not up there in terms of. And this is where it's tricky because you're dealing with multiple versions of people in multiple time periods, all in the same location, but the location changes because it's multiple time periods again. So when you take this one city, the city of Winden, and then you realize in season 1 you jump between roughly 3 time periods. Come season 2, you're jumping between 6 to 7 time periods, and then a whole slew of new characters are introduced. And you have to realize in this show, when one new character is introduced in the past, present, or future, there are 2 other versions of that character doing something in this whole thing. And then when season 3 happens, you're kind of like, oh, now there's fucking parallel worlds. So take everything that you learned in season 1 and 2 and double it.
Yeah.
So in terms of the amount of characters that there are, and then the location, the scope is pretty big, but I wouldn't compare it to a Star Wars scope where it's epic big space war film, right?
Right.
It's bigger. It's off that same scope because each character, you have to understand their desires, their wants, who they are, but then you have to learn it multiple times. Now, Dark did a nice thing where it's for every character, for the most part, there's 3 versions. They could have been real dicks about it and given you 5 versions or 6 versions or 9 versions or whatever. But you learned that a single character, you learn them in 3 different time periods of their life, and then also how they interact with all these other weird things. So it's a really interesting story because science fiction is great and time travel is just what. And this plays upon what version of time travel makes sense, the chicken or the egg. There's a P one I can't remember. There's a whole bunch of different versions. They touch on, for the most part, every single one, why it works, why it doesn't work. And then you've also got the drama of what this asshole is trying to do, and wait, was he actually an asshole? Oh, no, it was actually this other thing, and just so much shit.
So let me ask Arjuna this real quick, Juna. If you were to give me your top 3 television shows you've ever seen.
Of all time.
Yeah. Breaking Bad, probably?
Breaking Bad, The Wire, and I mean,
obviously we haven't seen every television show ever.
Yeah,
so
but for me,
we're biased, but
it's those 2, and I feel like I'm missing an important one.
well, it's okay. It's just a generic.
Probably one of my animated shows that are like Avatar or BoJack Horseman or Adventure Time.
SpongeBob. First 4 seasons?
The first 3 seasons. Or, one of the animes like Full Metal Alchemist or something.
So Ravi, you're saying that Dark is better than Breaking Bad.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, so you didn't even hesitate.
Yeah.
What? So before Dark,
but you have to
before Dark.
What
was your favorite? What was your favorite couple of TV shows?
The reason I say though, like without hesitating, I will always pick a science fiction thing as my top contender.
Okay.
Because I love science fiction.
Yeah.
Like it is so fascinating to me. Breaking Bad is not science fiction. That's not a knock at it.
Yeah.
It's a drama.
Right.
Right. Dark is science fiction, but it's also a drama. But the drama is so much more interesting than that of like a Breaking Bad because of the sci-fi elements in there. So your other question was, what was my favorite?
Yeah, what was your favorite shows before Dark?
Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Seasons 1 through 4 of Game of Thrones. Westworld. The Office.
Star Trek.
Oh yeah, Star Trek.
Stargate. And this is better than all
Battlestar Galactica.
Mandalorian, Battlestar Galactica. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, like, Battlestar Galactica is another really good one. It is a great, fantastic, interesting, intense science fiction. Its ending is so fucking frustrating.
Well, they did run out of money.
Yeah,
it's literally cardboard. At the
Wait,
end.
what show?
Battlestar Galactica. Remember the last season, like the 4th season? The CGI is so bad.
I don't remember that show very well.
It's and that's the thing is, like, a show can be, and this is why like Breaking Bad is considered like one of the best dramas ever, because the story wraps so nicely. It makes sense. You're not sitting there going, well, why did that person get that sword from their father and go through that entire thing?
Which leads me to my next question.
Spider-Man 2.
Game of Thrones.
Which leads me to, I think, to my final and last question, which is maybe more important to us like science fiction fans. In terms of the mechanics of the time travel in Dark, how does it compare to some other time travel classics? Let's say like Back to the Future. We could throw in Avengers Endgame, The Time Machine. Stuff like that. In terms of the mechanics, did you like them? Is it the best you've ever seen? And that lend to the credence of that. Like, talk to us a little bit about the mechanics without ruining it, if that's possible.
It is the most. This is going to sound hilarious. In terms of my own understanding of general concepts of physics, and then time travel, and then more recently, like I think in the last 20 years or so, the idea and concept of multiple dimensions and how all that fun stuff works. This makes a lot of sense. Like, this show is not just about time travel, and you don't really discover that until later. It's not a major spoiler. But you understand how one thing is possible because of this other thing, and it's very simple. It makes sense, and it kind of helps connect everything together. There's a little bit of the whimsical, and when I say a little bit, I'm talking a 30-second shot in the last episode in the last 5 minutes where it's a little bit whimsical or whatever. But even that and how they present it and how they discuss, you could still look at it and be like, yeah, that actually makes sense based upon all the other mechanics and all the other information that you've presented.